Hello, flute players. Today I'm going to talk a little about how to get yourself on a sublist, primarily for an orchestra, like a regional orchestra is a big one, or even a full-time orchestra, or any kind of orchestra. It's a very important thing to do as a freelancer if you want to work. And to do that, to get on sublists, you really have to be proactive in the beginning and do a little detective work, find out who the principal flute players are, contact them, etc. No one is going to search you out and find you and invite you to come play in the orchestra or to be on a sublist. You have to make it known to people that you're even interested in playing in that orchestra, and you need to do the work to get yourself connected. So the first thing you do is you contact the principal flute player. They're the ones who have their own sublist of, I don't know, probably 10 or so flute players that they will then give to the personnel manager of these orchestras to contact for when and if they need a sub, or when and if they need a sub in their section. You can also contact contractors that hire for shows and pickup gigs, whatever, same thing. And you can also try to contact active freelancers, somebody who's really working a lot in your city, and make contact with them. And so the first thing you need to do is find these people's emails and send them an email. So that brings me to the next thing. Always send an email to reach out to a principal flute player or a contractor or whatever. Never just text them if you have their number, or don't call them directly. No one does that anymore anyway, but I would advise against texting. Email is a great way. It's formal but not formal, and people's emails are pretty much considered public domain these days, and they're very easy to find. Well, first of all, I would look up rosters, like orchestra rosters of regional orchestras, especially if you live in somewhere where there's regional orchestras all over the place, like in Texas, in the Midwest in general, Illinois, where you have Michigan and Indiana and Ohio and Illinois and all that, all right there. You can do some research and find out what all the regional orchestras are, and then look at their roster and see who the principal flute player is. And then to get their email, you can either look at a union roster, possibly musicians union, or you could, if there's a flute club or a flute society for your town, of course, be involved in that. And usually everyone's emails are made known to all the members of a flute society. Or you can ask a friend. It's pretty easy to find somebody's email. The actual email is very important. I would advise just to keep it straightforward and to the point. Don't dance around the subject. Everybody, the flute player that is reading your email knows what you want, so just state it. Something like, "Dear whoever, my name is, I am a flute player, and I'm a flute player in town," or "I'm a flute player in Chicago," or whatever the city is. "I am interested in being added to your sublist." So that's getting right to the point. "May I come play for you? Or maybe take a lesson with you? I'd of course pay you for your time. If you'd like me to send a resume, I'd be happy to do that. I look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, your name," and leave all your contact information. All right, so just straightforward. It should be, casual, but not stupid. Like, you don't want to do all small caps, or just go on and on with compliments about their playing, or go on and on with name dropping of big names in the music scene that you've had an encounter with. In other words, don't dance around the subject. Just get to the point, and it's very much appreciated. And if you are able to get a scheduled time with this flute player or contractor or freelancer, I would show up with something prepared to play, unless they asked you to bring something, but I don't think they would ever do that. I would say, I want to circle back a little too, if you are reaching out to a freelancer, somebody who freelances a lot in your town, that you've heard of but you've never made direct contact with, and you would like to be on their radar, in their circles, I would, with their email, it's a little different because they don't have a sublist per se. So like I said, you just want to be on their radar. So for that email, I would I would opt for the hello, my name is, blah blah blah, and I'm in this town, etc. Like before. But then say I'm preparing this excerpt list for an upcoming audition, or I am working on the Iber concerto, and I would love to get your input, or another set of ears, or I have a trial with these 3 different head joints. Could I please schedule a time and get your input? So anyway, you just need to make contact with them and come play for them. So you're not saying directly, I want to be in your circle of people. You can't be direct with that. But like the things I just said is a good way to get a lesson of sorts, or a scheduled time that you're going to play with them so they can hear you play. Of course, always pay them for their time, even if they're just listening to you or it seems casual. Always offer to pay for their time, or assume that you're going to be doing that. And lastly, the last thing I want to cover is what happens if you send out an email and you don't hear anything back. This happens quite a bit. So it can be tricky. Like, what do? You don't want to seem pushy or aggressive, but yet maybe they didn't get your email, or maybe you just need to send a follow-up because they actually just forgot to respond to you. You never quite know. And you never also quite know what they are like, their personality. If they're going to be, because you don't want to make the one flute player in town, if it's a small town, mad at you, and then you'll never be on their sub list. So that's just how it goes. So I would say if you send out an email and you don't hear anything in like a whole week, maybe 5 days, you can send out one more email and just say, I emailed you earlier, not sure if you got my email, and just maybe state the same things again. If you don't hear anything back after that, it's kind of a done deal. It's just nothing you can do. For instance, when I was living in the Chicago area, or I was living in Chicago, and the principal flute of the Chicago Symphony, I wanted to get on that sub list, was Mathieu Dufour, who's now in Berlin. But he was notoriously difficult to get a hold of. No one, it was like this magic circle that if you could actually get him to respond to you or talk with him at all in any way. So anyway, I sent an email, didn't hear anything, sent another email, maybe a week later, didn't hear anything. That's done. I could have maybe I did, I can't remember now, I think I did. I asked around people that do sub in the orchestra, like, how did you get in there? If he doesn't respond, can I email again? What's he like? Regarding the principal flute player, ask your friends or people that might know this person. Would they be offended if I called them? Just so you get a feel of what to do next. So again, the main issue, if you send out a couple emails, is that you do not want to make the principal flute player or the contractor or this freelancer that you're trying to get on their radar, you don't want to make them mad and then ruin all chances of ever being on their sub list. That's what you're trying to avoid. So it is a game of sorts. You just need to always be very professional and careful. Okay, so I hope that helps a little bit, give you some guidance on how to go about getting on somebody's sub list. These are things I did, looking up rosters of regional orchestras, reaching out to those flute players, going to play for contractors, and being connected. Being connected is the most important thing you can do as a freelancer. I had done a previous video on how to be a freelancer in general, and I think I went through 4 or 5 things to do, and contacting principal flute players, all these things I just went over, is one of the several things I went over. So I will link that video in the description here if you want to check that out and just get a bigger picture of the whole freelancing scene. All right, good luck, and I'll see you at the next video.